Hi, Angel here. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to part 6 of my How I Built My Head Hut series. This is the Head Hut here behind me. Kind of see it. And today we're going to talk about my glass bottle walls, which I built. They were one of the more labor-intensive parts. Actually, the whole project was pretty labor-intensive, but collecting the bottles, cutting them, cleaning them, figuring out the pattern that I was going to put them in, and then putting them in that pattern took me a good chunk of time. I would say over a year of collecting and cleaning and cutting, and now I have quite a plethora left over, which I can use on future projects. And so it wasn't that it required that much work, but the figuring out of what I wanted to do and how to do it and getting the right bottles turned out to be quite challenging. And I even cracked a rib at one point, diving in a dumpster and to get a pretty blue bottle. Anyhow, last time we talked about the pillars. I want to show you what they look like from the outside. Now they're kind of molded in, so they don't look like anything except for slightly rounded and gaps in my bottle wall work. So let's go inside because it's a little chilly today. We can take a look at the bottle work, which is a lot prettier from the inside than it is from the outside, actually. So that wall we were just standing behind on the outside, that's what it looks like on the inside. And you can see there's 3 panels that have a similar kind of star pattern. These were some big wine bottles that I collected. These squares were liquor bottles. These were mostly water bottles, although there was some wine and other bottles in there as well. Perrier, a lot of those. And these little blue ones, the little blue ones were Platinum Bud Light. Platinum, which is a terrible, terrible beer that my friends and I drank way more than a human should ever drink just for those bottles. And these are Big Sky vodka bottles. Each of these dots took 2 bottles to make because you match them on both sides, and in most cases the colored bottles are matched with a clear bottle on the outside. So that's one of the reasons why it doesn't look as spectacular outside. But in a lot of cases I actually did put doubled up some greens and even some blues, and in general I can usually tell where those are because they're a little darker. Basically, ideally, if you want maximum color on a colored bottle brick like this, you match in size a clear bottle to a colored bottle, and then that lets the maximum light in to the inside for these colored bottles. I had a limited number of these light blue ones. That was a particular kind of wine that it took me a long time to collect and gather. And over on the sides you can see I did these temples with a little swirl. Actually, the sun is on the other side of this structure, so I'm going to go in here and show you what the temple on this side looks like. My panels were built pretty organically. Oh, my light just clicked on. Without a template, really. I attempted to make some templates and kind of failed. Attempted to make templates. And so I ended up just kind of hand building these, figuring them out on graph paper, but then just coming out here and hand building them. And basically, I'm building them I was putting them in cordwood style between each of 2 pillars. And so you have to build it from the bottom on up and figure out the pattern as you go, and hope for the best when you get to the top. And so I'm pretty proud of my job. All in all, I was pleased. That proud maybe is the right word. I was happy with the end result in the end, and I spent a lot of time thinking about it. I started back here, and I initially did try to make a form out of some mylar sturdy stuff that I had, and I marked things and cut them, or I just marked them, and I was gonna use that as a template as I went up. But I discovered, actually I think it was the sides that I did that for, but I discovered it was too imprecise with the infill, is you're dealing with wet cement or papercrete kind of infill, which mashes down. It's hard to get the bottles level. It's hard to keep them a consistent distance without some kind of form. So if you wanted real precise consistency, then I would use a form for sure. And even without a form, I could have done, now that I've done this and have the practice, I learned some tricks by the end. So I could probably do a better job of getting it consistent. But as it is, I went with an organic, like each of these, even though they have a similar mimicking pattern, they all have the star pattern and they all have a blue and they all have, these two outer ones have the blue with the two white one. The middle one doesn't, but it still has that star pattern. In any case, you can see they mimic each other, they match, but they are organically, they're different from each other. So, so that gave me some freedom when it came to working out the pattern and in precision in the pattern. And another factor is that when you're dealing, these are 9-inch thick blocks. My dog Rocket out there is being a little annoying, isn't he? 9-inch thick blocks that you try to put in level, but again, you're dealing with a unsolid surface, a squishy surface. So it's kind of tricky to keep them level. And also if they're not sealed up really well with tape, we seal them with tape, the two halves. But sometimes there's a little break in the seal or a little carelessness or even a little moisture left in the first place. That moisture creates a constant problem. And in some cases on my top bottle walls up here, where I put them in at an angle and didn't take great care to seal them up, I had some that got moisture in them that then molded, like in this one. And a few of them I actually drilled out holes and let the water out because it had collected. These ones at an angle on the roof, when it rains, do sometimes collect a little bit of water, because if it pours and pours and pours, it's just enough, and the water gets in around that gap and drips down the bottle and then gets right under the tape where there's a gap and puts water into the bottles. In fact, look, there's some in this bottle that have been in here for a long time now. I keep knocking over my little ethanol fireplace, which maybe I'll put you a link for down below because I really like. But anyway, see, here is a bottle with some water in it still from, it hasn't rained in a very, very long time, but once it gets in there, it's really hard for it to get back out. So that was one flaw that I definitely would warn against, and I probably won't make that mistake again when I get to do another decorative bottle wall. So and then my front eyes there, you can see, so on the top I made these eyebrow kind of designs with some star patterns going around the top. I don't know if you can see, they're all kind of matching there in color. And again, it was really tricky to get those 9-inch blocks up there in correct form. You see up here, this is a coffee can vent, which I have covered right now because it's cold. And then I have a big opening, I'm trying to show you there, the opening up top, which I just have an insulated piece of plexiglass in it right now, just to keep it, again, keep the warm air, keep it from getting colder in here. And then some of these don't have light coming through them, like these, because they actually have, I'm trying to show you and I'm not doing a great job. These actually have, they're cut in half. They're half bottles like all the others, but on the other half, instead of having a flat bottom bottle, it's cut twice, and onto that I taped the piece of plastic that goes with the solar yard lights. I bought several different kinds, and I attached those little solar LED yard lights to the tops of some of my bottles, so they collect enough juice during the day that then they click on after sunset, and they glow in here till, it depends. If it's a cloudy day like it kind of is today, they might not glow. Some of them might not even turn on, and they might not glow past 10 or 11 o'clock. Of course, it gets dark at like 5 now. But in the summer, when it gets dark at 9, a lot of times they're still real bright at like 2 in the morning because they got real charged up. So this is kind of another neat little factor, and it's part of what makes that roof really special to me. And even though it was a ridiculous amount of work on many levels, including the glass bottles, and I made many errors, and so I wouldn't recommend ever doing what I did. I still am super happy with it. It was so much work, but it was really rewarding just to actually pull it off, to get it done, because I had a lot of ideas that I tried out, and even though they didn't work out perfectly, they worked out. And also I just learned so much in doing it, and it's such a unique thing, like that nobody, there's never going to be, and never has been, another thing that's just like this, I guarantee you, because it's so organic. The process I used to make it was so in the moment and in the flow, in combination with a couple, it was a year or two of planning that out, that particular part. So it was super exciting, super rewarding. Super exciting was an exaggeration. Super rewarding for sure. Pretty difficult, pretty challenging for sure. And I look forward to applying what I learned in doing this to some future projects. And I'll probably be able to do a better job of not getting any water on them for sure. And like I mentioned, I already have a lot of bottles now collected from my collecting for this project, so that I should be able to whip through the next couple projects a lot faster once I get them started. Which has been a little bit of an issue lately, finding the time and the budget for that. But in any case, I hope to do that this spring. You can stay tuned. Let me know if you're interested in help that out. In fact, if you're in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, I'm going to be looking for help filling some tires, putting in some glass bottle walls, lots of exciting Earthship related type of hard work. So let me know if you're interested. And also let me know in the comments below if you got any special questions for me, comments for me, if there's anything in particular that this makes you curious about, because I'm going to be doing a more polished version of this series with some actual photographs and answering any questions that you guys ask me and that come to mind as I review this unscripted, off the cuff, how I built my Head Hut story series. This has been part 6. I got one hand with the camera in it, so I can't give you a thumbs up with that hand. But I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know. Check out parts 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 if you're interested. And stay tuned for a few more sections of this story. I think I'm probably got at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 more sections to this story as I go through the process of how I built it and kind of review that with you. So till next time, peace, progress, and possibilities.